What is up, flavor seekers? You have just stepped into the Fluency Lab, the only place where we cook up the best linguistic tips to make your vocabulary sizzle. I'm Leo, and I have officially retired the word yummy from my dictionary as of this morning.
About time, Leo. It was getting a little repetitive. Hi, everyone. I'm Emma. We are thrilled to have you back in the lab. Today, we are diving into a topic that is close to everyone's heart and stomach. We are talking about the complex, often misunderstood language of texture and taste.
Right, because if you're at a nice restaurant or discussing a meal with friends, saying the food is good just doesn't cut it. It's flat. You want to describe the zing, the crunch, the mouthfeel. But before we get into the fancy words like succulent or astringent, I want to challenge a basic assumption.
Oh, what assumption is that?
The idea that we taste with our tongues. I read recently that up to 80% of what we perceive as flavor is actually smell. Is that accurate, or is it just internet trivia?
It is accurate, but with a nuance. We have to distinguish between taste and flavor. Scientifically, taste is what happens on the tongue. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. That is it, just those five. But flavor is the brain synthesizing those signals with the aroma detection in your nose. It's called retronasal olfaction.
Retronasal olfaction. That sounds like a medical condition.
It sounds clinical, but it is beautiful. When you chew, aromas travel up the back of your throat to your nasal cavity. So when you say a strawberry tastes fruity or floral, you aren't tasting that, you're smelling it from the inside out. Your tongue just tells you it is sweet and slightly sour.
So if I plug my nose, the strawberry is just a lump of sweet mush.
Precisely, and that leads us to the first major confusion in food vocabulary, the difference between savory and umami. You see these words used interchangeably all the time, but they aren't the same thing.
I admit I am guilty of this. To me, savory just means not sweet. Like dinner is savory, dessert is sweet.
That is the correct culinary definition of savory. It is a category, but umami is a specific biological mechanism. It was identified in 1908 by a Japanese chemist named Kukune Ikeda. He was eating a bowl of dashi broth and realized the flavor wasn't salty, sour, sweet, or bitter. It was something else.
And that something else was glutamate?
Exactly. He isolated glutamate from kelp and named the taste umami, which roughly translates to pleasant, savory taste. But it took nearly a century for Western science to accept it. It wasn't until around 2002 that researchers finally identified the specific taste receptors on the human tongue that respond to glutamate.
So when we describe a rich beef stew or a mushroom risotto, we should say it has umami?
If you want to be precise, yes, you would say this dish has a deep umami profile, but savory works as a general description of the genre. Think of it this way. Savory is the genre, umami is the baseline thumping in the background.
I like that musical analogy. So let's move to the treble notes, the high frequencies. We have words like zesty and tangy. Are those just synonyms for sour?
They are related to sourness, but they carry different connotations. Sour often implies an imbalance, like milk that has gone bad or lemon eaten raw. It can be a negative experience. Zesty, on the other hand, is almost always positive. It refers to the aromatic oils from citrus zest. It implies energy, brightness, and freshness.
So a lemon vinaigrette is zesty because it wakes up your palate.
Correct. Now, tangy is a bit punchier. It describes that sharp, pucker-inducing flavor you get from fermentation. Greek yogurt is tangy. Sourdough bread is tangy. It's that acidic bite that lingers on the sides of the tongue.
Okay, that distinction helps. Zesty is bright and aromatic. Tangy is sharp and fermented. Now let's talk about the danger zone, the food that fails. I usually just say it has no taste, but I know there's a better word.
Bland. That is the word you need. But we have to be careful with cultural relativity here. What one culture considers bland, another might consider subtle or delicate.
That is a great point. I remember reading about traditional Cantonese cuisine, which values the natural flavor of the ingredient. The chicken should taste like chicken. If you drown it in chili sauce, you've ruined it. But to someone used to heavy spice, that pure chicken might taste bland.
Exactly. Bland implies a failure to stimulate. Subtle implies that the flavor is there, but you have to pay attention to find it. However, if you're at a restaurant and the mashed potatoes just taste like wet paper, you can safely call them bland. Another useful negative word is insipid.
Insipid? That sounds harsh.
It is. It means lacking flavor, vigor, or interest. It's worse than bland. Bland is just boring. Insipid is lifeless.
I am definitely using insipid in my next Yelp review. Now, let's shift gears to texture. In food science, I believe this is called mouthfeel.
Yes, mouthfeel. It is a cornerstone of food engineering. Companies spend millions developing the perfect crunch for a potato chip. Speaking of which, there is a fascinating physics distinction between crunchy and crispy.
I always thought they were synonyms. A chip is crunchy, a chip is crispy. Same thing.
Not in the world of rheology. That's the study of how matter flows and deforms. Here's the breakdown. Crunchy refers to a hard object that fractures with a loud, low-pitched sound. It requires significant force from your jaw. Think of a raw carrot or a thick pretzel.
Okay, so crunch is heavy. It's a workout for your jaw.
Precisely. Crispy, however, refers to a thin, brittle structure that shatters easily with a higher-pitched sound. Think of a potato chip, tempura batter, or the skin of a roasted duck. It is delicate. You don't grind crispy food, you shatter it.
That makes total sense. A carrot doesn't shatter, it snaps. So a carrot is crunchy, but a croissant flake is crispy.
Perfect examples. And then we have the positive words for softness. You mentioned earlier you wanted a better word than juicy.
Yeah, juicy sounds a bit messy, like I'm going to need a napkin.
Try succulent. It comes from the Latin word for juice, but in English it connotes a high-quality, rich moisture, usually found in meat or ripe fruit. It implies that the food is perfectly cooked and retains its liquids.
Succulent. It has a luxury feel to it. What about the negative version of soft, when something should be firm but isn't?
Mushy or soggy. Mushy implies the internal structure has collapsed, like an overripe banana or overcooked pasta. Soggy usually involves liquid intrusion, like cereal that has sat in milk too long or a pizza crust that got wet from the sauce.
Ugh, soggy pizza is a crime. Now, I want to touch on something that confuses a lot of English learners, the word hot.
Ah, the great ambiguity of the English language. In Spanish, you have caliente for temperature and picante for spice. In English, we just have hot.
So if I say this soup is hot, you don't know if I'm burning my tongue on the temperature or on chili peppers.
Context usually saves us, but technically we should differentiate between thermal heat and pungency. Pungency is the technical term for the sensation of spice.
Pungency. And this connects back to what you said about the tongue earlier. Is spiciness a taste?
It is not. This is one of my favorite facts. Spiciness is not a taste. It is a pain signal. The chemical capsaicin in chili peppers tricks the trigeminal nerve, the nerve that senses pain and temperature in your face, into thinking your mouth is literally on fire.
So we are masochists? We are sprinkling pain dust on our tacos?
Biologically speaking, yes. The brain responds to this pain by releasing endorphins, which gives you a little rush. That is why some people are addicted to spicy food. They are chasing the endorphin high. We call this chemisthesis, the chemical sensibility of the skin and mucous membranes.
Chemisthesis. Okay. So when we describe spicy food, we can say spicy or hot. Are there other words? Because sometimes food is spicy but not painful.
Excellent observation. If you are eating a gingerbread cookie or a curry that is heavy on cumin and coriander but has no chili, you would call that aromatic or heavily spiced, but not hot. We might also use the word piquant for something that is pleasantly stimulating and sharp, but not necessarily burning.
Piquant. That's a good Scrabble word. Let's bring this back to practical usage. If our listeners are posting a picture of their dinner on Instagram, what are some power words to replace delicious?
If you want to sound sophisticated, focus on the method and the result. Instead of tasty sauce, try infused. For example, the oil was infused with garlic and rosemary. It implies a slow transfer of flavor.
And for dessert, sweet is boring.
Try decadent or rich. Rich implies a high fat content, butter, cream, chocolate. The mousse was incredibly rich, or if it has a lot of sugar and texture, indulgent.
I feel like I need to go rewrite all my old food posts. Decadent, infused, succulent. It elevates the conversation.
It does. Language shapes perception. If you have the vocabulary to describe the nuances of a dish, you actually pay more attention to eating it. You enjoy it more because you're analyzing the interplay of texture and aroma.
You are making us more mindful eaters. I like that. So, to recap the big takeaways today, we don't just taste with our tongues, we smell flavor through retronasal olfaction.
And savory is a category, while umami is the specific chemical taste of glutamate. Crunchy is for hard, low-pitch foods. Crispy is for thin, shattering foods.
And spiciness is just our face nerves screaming in confusion. I love it. Your homework this week, listeners, the next time you eat, do not just shovel it in. Stop. Identify one texture word and one flavor word. Is it tangy? Is the crust crispy? Is the center succulent?
And share those descriptions with us. We want to see how you are applying the science of mouthfeel in your daily life.
Tell us in the comments, what is the most bland, insipid thing you have ever eaten? For me, it was definitely that boiled hospital rice I mentioned earlier. Zero mouthfeel, zero flavor.
Tragic. Well, that is all the time we have for this serving of the Fluency Lab.
Thanks for dining with us today. We hope your vocabulary is feeling a bit more delicious now.
Keep tasting, keep practicing, and stay hungry for knowledge. See ya.
Stay fresh and keep it fluent. I'm off to find something zesty to eat. Peace out.